Now George Bush thinks we ought to trust developers. My perspective at 11.
This is Channel 2 Action News. With the latest news, weather, and sports. Channel 2 Action News Nightcast.
Good evening, everyone. Here's what's happening tonight. The long-awaited report by the civilian panel investigating excessive force by the LAPD will be made public within hours. Findings are expected to change the face of a department that has been shaped for 13 years by one man, Police Chief Daryl Gates. It is expected the report will not call for Gates' removal. However, reports say the panel did find more examples of racial and sexual slurs in police computer messages. Jody Baskerville has the latest for us.
The report that could very well change the way the Los Angeles Police Department operates will be unveiled tomorrow after 3 months of hearings, testimony, and interviews. The Independent Commission on the LAPD, also called the Christopher Commission, is scheduled to release its findings after a wide-ranging investigation into the department following the March 3rd beating of Rodney King. During a public appearance this afternoon, Mayor Tom Bradley was optimistic about the effect the commission's results will have on Los Angeles.
I expect that the Christopher Commission report is going to help us change the image and as well as the direction of the Los Angeles Police Department. It's looking not only at the issue of excessive force, but the management of the department. What changes should be made with regard to civilian oversight. So I think it's going to be very significant for the future of this city.
Mayor, how quickly do you hope to implement those changes?
We will start immediately. The Christopher Commission members have agreed to stay on in order to help us with the implementation phase.
In the wake of the beating of Rodney King, Mayor Tom Bradley publicly called for the resignation of Police Chief Daryl Gates, touching off a political tug-of-war between the two most powerful men in the city. Although a truce was called with the help of City Council President John Ferraro, the tension remains. When asked what kind of input the chief will have once the commission releases its findings, the mayor had this to say.
Well, the chief is not going to implement it, that's for certain.
During an appearance on a radio talk show in May, Daryl Gates said he would resign if the commission found he was in some way at fault in the beating of Rodney King by 4 of his officers.
If that were to be shown by the independent commission, I will tell you and tell everyone here that I will leave and leave the department.
Because the commission's report is in such demand, a special schedule had to be worked out before its release. The mayor will get the first copy. The media will be allowed access next, and then Police Chief Daryl Gates. Copies will also be given to the Police Commission and the City Council. These precautions were deemed necessary to try and prevent any leaks.
And it will be interesting in light of this report to see what happens to the rift between Bradley and Gates.
And it is a big one.
All right. Thank you very much, Jody. And by the way, Action News is going to provide full coverage of the Commission's findings tomorrow, beginning at 11 a.m. when the Christopher Commission holds a news conference. We will carry that live. Then continuing coverage on Action News at noon and a special report at 3 p.m. Because of the All-Star game tomorrow, the CBS Evening News will air at 3:30, followed by Action News at 4 o'clock. Hope you got all that.
Not a comforting thought, but there are fewer firefighters on the streets of L.A. tonight, victims of budget cutbacks. 86 firefighters were laid off today in what's called a rolling brownout in the department. 13 engines will remain empty. 6 out of 55 ambulances are not working.
It's going to take us longer to get to calls, and when patients are in serious condition, that's going to increase the possibility of their injuries or illness getting worse or perhaps them even dying.
City's pool of firefighters is already down due to a hiring freeze, and firefighters are already saying this summer is shaping up to be a severe fire season.